Welcome to episode 3. This is the episode where we finally get some hands-on stuff done. And the first thing I want to teach you is how to write any good prompt. I hope that this episode also explains why I spent the last episode talking about AI models and what they do and what they don't do. So, the main pillar of any good prompt is to constrain the model's output probability distribution towards a target response space. Now that is a lot of complicated gibberish. What it means in simple human language is that main pillar of any prompt is to narrow down the probability of guessing the wrong response and associate the model with the most accurate information within as narrow of a field as possible. Now we are dealing with large language models. They are trained on a lot of data. So I've made a small visualization. For example, let's say our task is to write a piece of copywriting for a website selling basketballs, a piece of text for a selling page of a product, of a basketball. So how does this look inside of a large language model? Well, here, this is all of its training context, the big circle. And if we zoom all the way in, somewhere here and somewhere down here, we'll find writing for business. Now, in reality, this circle would be much, much smaller. I would say maybe this size, and the circle for writing would be this circle, writing for business would be this circle, and inside of this circle, we would have copywriting. And inside copywriting, we would have copywriting for sports. Now, that is a very narrow field for an AI model that has literally everything about our world in it. So our goal as a prompt engineer is to help the model narrow down as much as possible in order to get as close to the circle as possible. Now, why do we do that? Well, because let's look at copywriting, for instance. Copywriting is not easy. I've outlined just some things about copywriting that a good copy should have. Voice and tone control, storytelling, things like that. But that's not it. We're writing for sports copywriting. So copywriting for basketball. And that has its own complications. Audience, language, emotions, apparel, and all kinds of different things. So the question becomes, how do we help our model narrow down to that context? Well, we can use something that is called the 4-pillar system. And the 4 pillars are the first thing you learn in prompt engineering, essentially. It is the easiest way to get better prompts instantly. It will give you about 70% better outputs. So let's break this down one by one. So what is a role? Well, the easiest way to associate a model with a task is to tell the model who it is. Give it a role, a persona. In this case, our model is a professional copywriter, experienced in audience research, clear value, headline writing, all of these things. Specialized in sports, understanding audience, slang, emotion, all of that. Or, for example, you're an experienced project manager known for clear, empathetic, but professional communication. That is also a good role. Each task will have a different role. Because without it, the model will just default to one-size-fits-all voice. Next up is the task. The task is basically what we want. In our case, we want to write a 400-word copywriting post about basketballs, which should contain a strong heading, a quote, an introductory 2-sentence paragraph, for instance, a strong CTA at the bottom, and a section of description in between. So that's our task. Now, the context provides the background information, data, as well as the reason why we are doing this. Now, that last part may be a bit confusing to understand, but models tend to perform better when they understand why they are being asked of something. Now, this could be something as simple as this example here. We are 2 weeks behind schedule because an unexpected server migration issue. Or it could be things like target audience, product specifics, brand voice and tone, goal, all of these things. Whatever information we have on the product or on our website or on the brand of this basketball, we want to include here because it will help our model give a more precise output. So context is basically everything about the details that we have. And lastly, we have format. Now, format is the most simple. It is basically how we want to structure the output. Whether you want it to be as a professional paragraph, a science paper ready to paste into docs with all the formatting, whether it's code and you don't want anything but code, or maybe you want bullet points at some point. Format is basically how you want the output of the model to be. So I hope that makes sense. If you can master this concept, this will already get you about 70 to 75% better than most people that use AI. So let's look at some bad prompts and some good prompts. So for example, for marketing, write me a product description for a supplement brand called Muscle Pro. And at the bottom, we have a good prompt. Instantly we give it a role. You are a senior copywriter at a D2C brand. We give it the context. We're targeting gym-obsessed 25-year-olds who respond to bold motivational language. Our task is to write a product description for a pre-workout supplement called Muscle Pro that drives conversions. Keep it under 100 words, use short, punchy sentences, and end with a CTA. Now this prompt is better. It's not perfect, but it's a decent prompt. This will be much better than this. So what I did here is I copied our prompt here, our task, literally, and pasted it into Claude. I made sure to use incognito because that way it doesn't have access to any of my chat history and any of my memories and any of my master prompts that I might have. And the output it gave is, firstly, it's very obvious AI. So this is something that you will learn to spot over time, but this is just the most basic AI structure. You have 2 short sentences, 3 to 5 words long, and then you have a longer sentence that cuts off with a dash, and then it ends. And then we have another short sentence, and then a 2 words conclusion to the paragraph. We can see the same thing here. Short sentence, 4 words, 2 words, long sentence. And the text itself is very generic. I mean, every dribble tells a story. Every shot is a statement. I mean, it's decent, I suppose. It's usable, but it's nowhere near good. Now, let's use a better prompt for the same exact task. Now, this is a prompt I wrote for our task. Now, you can even do it like this. You can say, here's your role, here's your context, here's your format, and here's your task. And let's see what difference we get compared to the previous response. It'll take a little bit, but we'll get there. Claude did its thing where it's, instead of just giving us plain text, it gave us an entire website. Now compare this to the previous prompt that we just saw. Look at the difference of quality in the responses. Outdoor grip that dies after a season, or indoor feel that falls apart in open air. Ours doesn't. Engineered for players who take their game seriously. Our performance series basketball was built for every court, every condition, every rep. Now here we have a compilation of all of its features. Now this is a night and day difference. But what if I don't like this? Because this is HTML and this is Claude just doing its thing, trying to be fancy, giving me a website instead of just text. Well, all we have to do in the format, we just add output, text only, no HTML. Look at that. Night and day difference. So this is basically how good prompts can get you from having something that is obviously AI, generic, and mediocre to something that is genuinely good.